Coming up, though, we'll talk with the CEO of one of the leading energy companies in Ukraine and why he says Ukraine could become the main energy supplier for all of Europe. That conversation next. This is Bloomberg. In the meantime, in another part of Europe, the CEO of Ukraine's leading energy company says his nation can become the primary supplier, forget this, all of Europe, removing Russia from the equation altogether. Joining us now from London is Maxim Timchenko, the CEO of DTEK. We thank you, as always, for joining us. Let's start with the story of reducing this reliance and making Ukraine perhaps the supplier, as we just said, for all of Europe. But how do you do that? And what time frame are you looking at when you're looking at even your pipeline infrastructure in Ukraine currently under threat?
Thank you for inviting. Unfortunately, today, European countries in Europe is an energy hostage of Putin. Having 45% of natural gas in generation mix, 27% of Russian oil in generation mix. So, and I think it's dramatic mistake of European Union to see Russia as a reliable energy partner. So it's time to change it. And I think that Ukraine can play a crucial role in future energy security of Europe. So what we can offer is renewable energy. Today, we bring initiative we call 30 by 2030. And it was very well accepted in Davos during World Economic Forum. So what we offer is to build 30 gigawatt of renewable capacity by 2030. So what it means that we can reduce consumption of natural gas in Europe by more than 10 BCM when Ukraine start become major renewable energy supplier to European Union, as well as the major green hydrogen supplier. So if we manage to bring coalition of CEOs of energy companies, IFIs, country donors, so that we can accumulate 35 to 38 billion euros to realize this program, then we can play the most important role in energy security of Europe, of European countries as non-EU country.
Maxim, I'm curious, though, about the pipeline infrastructure in Ukraine. How can it really handle that right now? And how can you say Russia isn't a reliable supplier, but can Ukraine really be that reliable supplier when, like I said, the pipeline infrastructure is in question?
I think Ukraine surprised the whole world, not only by courage and strong Ukrainian army, but also the fact that on 16th of March, we connected our electricity grid to European. So basically today, Ukraine is part of European energy sector. And being connected, we can offer supply of this electricity even now. Because of significant drop of electricity consumption, we have overcapacity of nuclear and thermal power in Ukraine, and we offering right now export of electricity so that we help European countries to reduce such a dependence on Russian energy.
Maxim, obviously in this environment, there have had to be many fast decisions made, but within the industry, typically there is a process that involves regulators. That is certainly true in Europe as well. Can you walk us through the time frame, how long it would take to get some of these approvals to do what you're talking about from those regulators in Europe?
Yes, definitely. It's one of the bottleneck. And I just give you an example. We connected to Europe on 16th of March as an emergency synchronization, meaning that we cannot have commercial flow of electricity. And since that time, for more than 2 months, we are asking for Ukraine to allow start exporting Ukrainian electricity so needed to Europe. We have more than 2 times price difference with our border countries, and unfortunately, this decision is not made yet. This is just example that bureaucracy can destroy very good either immediate decisions or solutions or long-term plans. I hope that we will be heard and that Ukraine eventually by 2030 will be capable to build such a big volume of renewable capacity and start the major supplier of green energy to Europe.
Maxim, Kriti was talking about infrastructure in Ukraine. I do want to talk about, obviously, your need to raise funds to rebuild infrastructure over the long term as well. How much will that cost in your estimation?
So when we are talking about this initiative, 30 by 2030, it means not only to build wind and solar farms. It's huge investments in transport capacity, in flexibility of our system, like battery storage, in building facilities to produce green hydrogen. According to our estimation, this will cost as much as 35 to 40 billion euros. But we are talking about private capital. We have very high interest from global energy companies to participate in this plan. And what we need is political insurance guarantee from our international financial institutions, or from governments of European or international representatives. So I believe that private capital is ready to come to Ukraine, but we need this element as we call political insurance.
But Maxim, this plan is contingent on the war in Ukraine ending, some stability in the region. In terms of time frame, sure, you're looking at 2030, but in terms of time frame, what time frame are you modeling out that the war in Ukraine is actually going to end?
Of course, it's the major prerequisite for any significant investments in Ukraine, but we should start preparation now. We should form this coalition. We should have serious discussion about commitment of participants of this coalition. We should develop roadmap. And I believe by the time when everything will be prepared, we will have situation with the war so that the capital will start coming to Ukraine. I'm confident that we will win this war, and the time will come when it will be the line of investors and energy companies wanted to participate in building new Ukraine, in new green economy.
All right. Maxim, thank you very much for your time. We appreciate you taking the time to speak with us. Maxim Tімченко, the CEO of DTEK, joining us.